wrote a tweet. I posted this in the live chat. Then I posted it as a comment. I saw DJ Sbu ask me to explain. I then posted this as a tweet. I posted it on my WhatsApp status, on my Instagram stories. I said, Saul Phenduka is the Mbuyiseni Ndlozi of podcast and chill. Posted it on Facebook as well. Penuel the Black Pen, my page. Then people went in. On Twitter, I had to remember that Twitter's got a lot of dumb people, and people go to Twitter to vent and be, to be unnecessary and to troll and to be derogatory and vulgar. And I wrote a subtweet saying, unsurprisingly, a lot of fucking idiots here. It was meant as a compliment. Because if I say Saul Phenduka is the Mbuyiseni Ndlozi of podcast and chill, why would you see that as offensive? Unless if you think Ndlozi is not someone of dignity, of stature, of legacy, of intelligence. I don't get it. Okay. So, this is my parting shot. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi became the...
I want you guys to listen to this sort of like advice. Okay, I will take it as an advice. Okay, but like the way he's going to explain this, okay, I think it's very important for any young person or for any person who's doing anything to listen to Penuel now. This is, if it's an advice, it's the best advice I've never heard. Okay, maybe not I've never heard, but one of the best advice that I've heard. Okay, just listen to him. Slowly listen to him. Don't. Okay, please.
Sidekick in the EFF, the sidekick of Commander-in-Chief Julius Malema and Floyd Shibambu. Saul Phenduka is a sidekick, so to speak. There's an anchor, and then he's the support. He does it on Podcast and Chill. I think he does on KFM. He did it with Dineo Ranaka. He does it with Sizwe Roma now. It's been said many times that Saul is good as a support, more as the main guy. There's nothing wrong with that. Someone could argue that Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is good as the support and not the main guy. So if he goes into the ANC, if he goes to Mkhonto Wesizwe, if he does anything, maybe don't make him the main guy, because he's never been the main guy. He's always been the support guy, the servant. His singing ability and how it gets people roused up is almost similar to Saul Phenduka and the puns. The puns are brilliant. There was one that went over Ndlozi's head where they were speaking about who would you take. Macchi asked, who would you take to war? Would you take Nelson Mandela or Winnie? And Ndlozi was like, come on, obvious. And Saul Phenduka was like, oh, Krasaga Winnie. And Ndlozi was like, hey, Saul, if you weren't paying attention in the last 2 minutes, it wasn't between. I think it went over his head. It sounded like a little jab to Saul. Saul kind of let it slide, but it was a pun. Ukrasaga Winnie. Of course, Winnie Mandela, not winning. Ndlozi didn't hear it, so whatever. Just on South African platforms, you had Pro Kid, Inja of puns, metaphors, similes, alliteration. Saul Phenduka using a podcast platform might be the best in puns on the planet. I've never heard anyone on platforms who can take words and play with them in real time like that, in English, in vernac. Saul Inja, he ghost. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi and his voice with jazz. Absolutely brilliant. Now the other comparison is that they don't own. So Julius Malema in some regard owns the economic freedom fighters. He can't be kicked out as far as we know. He gave birth to it. Yes, the guys were there, but Mac G would set up Podcast and Chill. When he started, he had Len, of course. It was the Floyd Shibambu who would then leave later. And then Saul would join later. But it's his. And even when Ndlozi asked him, to say, you own this thing, yes, by yourself. Umekaiva was like, this is mine. And then he hit a jab again at Saul. But it was almost like, Donna, you and I, Siafan, and Saul, of course, would return the jab later. Me and you, Siafan, about. We don't own these things. That's why you leave the EFF. It's not yours. It's going to be difficult to kick out Ndlozi with her dad there. But even if he's there, she can stay as a support. This is not your home, chief. Podcast and Chill, Saul Phenduka came in as support. He gets paid. He's used the platform to get gigs like KFM, DJing gigs. He's a huge brand today. Shout out to Mac G. Shout out to the Podcast and Chill platform. But it's not his. If him and Mac G fight tomorrow over whatever, Saul is out. He can't be like, well, give me money for my stake. He doesn't own a stake. And I think this is an important lesson for all of us. Someone, I think, said something like, I was the Mbuyiseni Ndlozi at the Hustler's Corner. 100%, same. The Hustler's Corner was in mine. That was DJ Spoo. DJ Spoo was the MacG. DJ Spoo was the Julius Malema. It was it's his home. I came in as the support, Nami, to come and say my little smart things there, but it wasn't mine. It is important for people to have their own things. Doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be competing. Again, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, even under the EFF, could have set up a civil movement on the side to be like, no, this is a stokvel for black people. This is something for black people to push, so that at any given time, once that thing grows, if he ever needs to leave, he can go work there. Saul Phenduka doesn't have to set up a competing podcast. He can create a YouTube channel where once a month he vlogs. Or once a month he drops clips of Saul Phenduka's best puns of the month. And he takes them from Podcast and Chill, he takes them from KFM. To be like, I said, these are the best short clips of me for the month. And he builds that thing on the side so that it becomes part of his retirement plan. If not that, he sets up maybe like a little record label for DJs because he loves music. He's a music connoisseur. Let me sign these kids. Let me mentor these kids. Let me do something. If not that, then maybe negotiate with MacG. MacG doesn't have to agree. Donna, can I buy a stake in Podcast and Chill? So when people speak about it, I know I own 10%, 20%. How much is it? Instead of pay me this much, maybe pay me half, and then the other half, can we use it for me to slowly buy up a stake? We can value Podcast and Chill, how much it's worth, but I'd like to have a stake so that if one day you fire me, it's fine, Donna, you fired me, I'm out, maybe I'm not dope anymore. Even MacG can be fired because now they've got a network where they've got Piano Pulse, they've got Spreading Rumors, and others, which say, Donna, we're not hot anymore. We are has-beens. We're out, but we've got this platform that can still generate money for us that we own a stake in. And the Saul is like, Don, if ever you fire me, I'd still like to own a stake in Podcast and Chill. If not that, then a stake maybe in Grandeur, in the Chiller's Punch. I don't know what the ownership structure of those things are. MacG's just written a book, Uncancelable. Could Saul Phenduka write a book about his life, working at 5FM with DJ Fresh, Big Brother, his gambling addiction. I don't know if he had a porn addiction as well. How he views the world. Why he's a wordsmith in his own right. Why he's so punny. He loves puns and he's so dope. How he researches stuff. His love of music. When is his book coming out? How can he create a little legacy for himself? I not fighting, not beefing, not trying to create a wage to out anyone, but it's every single man must build his own little thing and his own little legacy. Even if it's Saul Phenduka saying, look, I take my money and I've bought a few properties for rent, or I've got a little share portfolio, or I actually now own the company that does the production for podcast. And I actually spoke to David Mashabela, and he's a King David Studios. So where we shoot Podcast and Chill.
One thing that I really appreciate with Mr. Penuel is the fact that, in as much as he gets controversial so sometimes, which I think it's also good, because it makes your mind to be triggered. That means it makes you to think, even though a lot of people actually, they might agree with whatever controversy topic is talking about, even if they don't want to agree, because maybe it's Penuel, but sometimes when he says things, they make you to actually think a lot, okay, which I think is very important. Right now, he's talking about MacG and Mr. Ndlozi, and then he says to us that these guys are guys who are supportive. Right? That means in anything they get involved in, they are those people that support in many cases, okay, or in things that they do. Now, when it comes to Ndlozi, we've all known that Ndlozi has been in the EFF for some time, and I don't think that Ndlozi in the EFF was ever going to be anywhere to the top leadership. I don't think so, Why? Because I think the way he was treated, in the way he was treated, I don't know, guys, you know. I think this thing of Mr. Ndlozi, I think it started a long time ago. It may not be as elevated as it was at the time, but I think it has been there. Now, one of the things that I was listening to what is Power FM, where I was hearing Mr. Who is that guy who was interviewing him? I think is the what power is the not owner, the Mr. Mkari, right? He said that Mr. Ndlozi, he always told him that you are not a politician. Okay, listen, I don't think that I can agree with that. I don't think so. I think, to be honest with you, any person can be a politician, right? But obviously it will depend on what type of a politician you are. Now, he said that he thought that he was not a politician because to be a politician you need to be you need to have some thiefness in you. That means you need to do things that are not according to the law. You do that and all of that. But I think you can also become a good and straight politician, even though your political career won't go far. That means it won't grow, it won't be better because you are a good person, nice, sweet, okay? Now, but I don't think that he can say that he's not a politician, actually, okay? I think he can be a politician if he wants to go deep. He can be. And I think he can hold some big positions in one of the political parties. I think so. I believe so, right? Now, but when Penuel was talking about this, it triggered my mind to say that, you know, it doesn't matter, guys, how you are under a person. If you are serving under a person, right, I don't even care what you say about this, right? When you are serving under a person, there must be a point where you grow. There must be a point where you will be elevated somehow. Or you will see yourself and be like, you know what, I think I have been here for some time and I need to move out and I need to do things myself. Just like what Mr. Shivambo did. You may look at it as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's for him. It's for his growth. You know, now he's experiencing things in the MK part. He is growing. It's not a bad thing for him to go through that. It is something that will grow him. It is something that will make him a better politician. Look at Mr. Malema. Mr. Malema, to be a politician that he is, he went through things. Even in his personal life, he went through things. And then he was expelled in the ANC. Obviously, it was because he was shouting and, you know, whatever. Because sometimes it also goes back to the behavior of people. You know, you may blame people. Why did they expel him? Why did they take him out? Why did they what? But sometimes you must also look back and look at the behavior of that person. And you remember that he was dealing with Mr. Zuma. Okay, so we all know Mr. Zuma and respect. Mr. Zuma doesn't like people who disrespect them. He doesn't like people who just misbehave. Okay, anyway, we're not talking about it now. I believe that even if you will be under people, but there must be a point where you need to grow. There must be a point where you need to decide and say, listen, I want to have my own things. Even if under those people, maybe it's a business, maybe it's a what. You can talk to them and say, Lily, guys, I've been with you for some time. I need to move on in terms of my growth, in terms of myself having other things. Can I get a stake? Okay, or if maybe you earn enough money in whatever that you are doing under whomever, okay, you can take some of the money, as Mr. Penuel actually says, you buy a property, you do this, so that you can have something that you own, even if you are under a certain person, which I think is important. Now, Mr. I'm calling him Mr. because I respect people, guys. Mr. Penuel, actually, he also mentions the fact that maybe Saul could have gone to Mr. McG and come to him and say, listen, I want to buy a stake. I don't think that was going to be easy. And I don't think that, I don't know, I don't want to speak for people. McG, I don't think that McG would have taken it, you know, that nicely, even though as he actually said, Mr. Penda, to say whether he agrees or not, but it will show some growth. It will show that you want to grow. It will show that you are thinking also, you know, for your future and anything like that. But we all know how black people sometimes treat each other. Okay, when you want to grow, some people they might say, nah, I think your time is up, and then there is a fight, there is what and all of it. So I think sometimes people don't do that, maybe because to avoid, you know, conflicts, to avoid people fighting with each other, because immediately you do anything that the other person doesn't like, maybe who is a main guy, okay, they don't like, in most cases it creates tensions, especially if you are not ready for you to leave that platform. In most cases, people end up like staying there, just like you would see when a lady is with a guy and then maybe the guy is abusive to them, is doing bad things, and then they prefer to stay because maybe they are receiving something from the guy. Okay, it is the same thing. You are in a platform under this person. People have said to you, yeah, you are a water guy. Yeah, you are just under this guy, what. But you stayed. Why? Because maybe, just maybe, you are preparing something. Just maybe you are building something. Okay, so I think this is a good advice, and I believe that as young people, we need to look at life like that. Okay, even though you will be under a person, at some point you must decide and say, listen, I gotta go, my guy, or I gotta do something in the same platform to say, I want shares, I want a stake, I want blah, 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 whatever it is. Okay, or you can start your own thing, as he actually said. I think this was the best advice that one of the best advices that I've had, you know, from Mr. Penuel. I was watching his live. He was talking about Mr. Ndlozi, and also the podcast of I think the interview with Mr. Ndlozi at the MacG podcast, and he ended up talking about this, which was very important. Actually, in this life, this was the last part of this life, you know, from his points, not from when he was reading comments, but from his points, the last points that he made, very powerful. I appreciate him for doing that, because it makes you to be like, I think I need to do something. I think and all of it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And perhaps some people, they start YouTube channel for that reason. Okay, of course, there are people who start it because of some reason. Other people, they start YouTube channel because of other people. Okay, they were not thinking of starting any channel, but because there is this thing, they want to defend this guy, they want to speak against that one, they start a channel, which is a good momo, which is a bad motive sometimes. That's why some of them, they don't go anywhere. Why? Because of the motive. You know, you need to be able to say, I'm starting it because I want to move on. I'm starting it because I want to have something of my own. Okay, simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, I am hoping that that is going to help you guys in terms of looking at life, in terms of maybe it may change your perspective, it may change the way you thought, it may change the way maybe you also were under somebody, whatever, maybe you were thinking of saying, you know what, let me just, maybe this will trigger you more, and maybe do something better and anything like that. But guys, please don't make decisions on a rush, and don't make the decisions based on emotions. Okay, make sure that if you decide to move on, or if you decide to do anything or approach whomever you are under, make sure that you are okay. Because some people, when you approach them, they get angry, they fire you immediately, even before you buy steak and whatever, and then you lost it, you lost your job, you lost everything. Okay, so I think you need to make sure that you are okay. You make sure that even if anything bad happens with what you are going to do, at least you will be okay after that. Okay, that is why some people, when they give advices, they would say don't what did they say, don't leave your job. I forgot it. Guys, I forgot that say, but it means that you must not leave your job until you are sure that after you leave your job you will be okay. All right, don't just leave because of your emotions, because you hate somebody and all of it. Make sure that you think before you do anything. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. You have a fantastic day. This guy is out. Sharp.